All right, to start this off, rest in peace, Father. My aunt, uncle. Uh, for one, I talked to my uncle today. I haven't talked to my uncle in a long time, probably when my mom and dad got divorced. A little after that, probably. It's been many, many years. But I talked to him today. He was telling me how bad it was in Chicago, right? I had no idea it was that bad in Chicago. Well, all right. I'm going to show you some photos in memory of great people when I was growing up. Family usually is, right? Uh, Family dinners and all kinds of stuff. You always have a good time. And we all know when people get divorces, families split, right? Children are chose or somewhat uh, put in the middle. You got to pick who you're going to go with depending on whatever the situation is. But no matter what it may be, they're always family, blood family, right? So no matter what happens, they'll always be family. You can't take that away from people, right? They were divorced, whatever, And, I'm not even talking about my family. I'm talking about other families. They split. Some families totally split. Uh, and you don't see them ever again, whatever it may be. You might talk to them once in a while or whatever. It is what it is. Yo, Debbie. So I'm going to show you a photo of my aunt, Janice, who she was hilarious when I was growing up. Uh, and she was a tough cookie. She was a tough cookie. She ran all the Sheridan hotels at one time, many groups of hotel chains. A great lady, funny. She also could drink. So I'm going to show you a photo of her. I do believe that's the only photo I can find of her on YouTube. Now she went through. She had a heart attack uh, a while back. She had an operation, and last time I heard, she was going to be perfectly fine. They told me, "Don't worry, she's going to be fine." I said, "Cool." She was recovering. But I guess a year later or something like that, they found something wrong. They had to go back in. And I think, from what my uncle said after that, or she passed away during the operation, which is horrible, right? After she survived having heart surgery. Uh, but, she was a big smoker at one time, but I think she quit when she was younger. But she was, like I said, she was hilarious. My Aunt Janice was hilarious growing up. And I'm glad I grew up with her when I did, because that was back in the 70s, right? 70s and 80s. And I used to go over to her house and stay the night over there with her and my Uncle Ron. Uh, all three of us kids, she would babysit. She had kids of her own and stuff. So I had a great time. Right? My uncle was big time into the Elvis. Uh, my aunt was, into the Elvis. They always had the Elvis gun. My one uncle looked like Elvis, had the lamb chops and everything. When Elvis was around, everybody was wearing the lamb chops. I seen old photos of my uncle back in the '60s, and and they all had them giant lamb chops. And the other person I want to give a memory to is my Uncle Jerry, who was just as funny uh, as my aunt. A great uncle. And, this was an uncle that was only 5 years older than me. So, you know, when I was born, he was already five, I think, or something like that. Or I think he was born in '63. I was born in '68. So at a young age, he became an uncle. And I'm really devastated. My father today, but I had no idea. My uncle. I want to thank my uncle for contacting me today on the internet and FaceTiming me or whatever it is. Uh, Thank you, sir, and thank you for your service in the military. And hello, Miss ATS News. Great live tonight. It's great live over there. So I'm going to show you a photo of my aunt. And now let me remind you, she was a funny lady, but she was a tough cookie. Right? She didn't play games. I was talking to my uncle today, and he said something. He said, your grandmother wouldn't approve of certain things, and he's right. My grandmother Kramer wouldn't approve of a lot of stuff uh, today, and she wouldn't approve of anything under her house like that. I loved my grandmother. She was a great grandmother. My one grandmother on my mother's side, I didn't know because she passed before I was born, uh, or right after I was born, or something like that. So I didn't get to know her. But my grandmother on my father's side, who was from Indiana out here, uh, was my grandmother, and my grandfather was still alive on my mother's side, and my grandfather was still alive on my dad's side. So I had three grandfathers or three grandparents. All right, let me show you a photo here. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on a minute here, real quick. And I do believe this was after her one operation. And I hope the rest of my family don't mind, but I'm always the last to know. I had no idea. My uncle was like, "I thought you knew." I was like, "No, I had no idea. I don't know until the last time I heard she was fine. The operation went good and everything was going to be fine." Let me see if I can find this here. Just give me a minute here. Well, I want to pay my respects. And that's what I'm going to do. Because you know what? Even like I told you, even with divorces, uh, right in the middle here, this is my Aunt Janice. She was hilarious. She looked so much like my grandmother. Uh, but boy, she was a tough cookie, right? She was. She wasn't uh, a do nothing, right? She'd stand up and say something. So I want to give a shout out to you, Aunt Jan, up there in heaven. God bless you. Thank God you're in heaven with Grandma, Grandpa, uh, and Uncle Jeff, and everybody. Great lady, and It was cool once I became old enough to drink to sit down and have a beer with her. Yeah, she was a smoker, drinker. She ran a lot of the hotels in Chicago, big chains. And then after that, she managed uh, apartment complexes after running apartment complex or hotels. Great lady and a tough little lady. And then them other two people, ladies that were with her are my cousins that I never met personally, but or her daughters. They would be my cousins, I think. Yo, Ashworth, how you doing? Then the other one is, my father, which I've showed photos of him. I think, well, I got to look and find more of them. Can't find none on Facebook right now. I don't think I'm looking in the right spot though, but I'll find them. I think I have a photo of them on my Facebook or one of my Facebook accounts. I got a couple Facebook accounts. The other one is that I found about today was very sad, uh, and it was sad the way he passed. Um, and I always had good times with my uncle, the one that was 5 years older than me or whatever. And let me find his. Now he was a wild one. Not gonna lie. I'm not. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, he was an iron worker in Chicago. So let me pull that up. We'll get a photo of him. You got people that love you. You got people that hate you. But I loved my aunt and I loved my uncle. Right, they're family. My we were raised like you know no matter what happens, what can you do? They're family. You can't turn your back on family. So, all right, let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. All right, hold on. I think I found. Well, this was one that he was at work. Like I said, he's an iron worker. Ah, there he is, Uncle Jerry. Union iron worker. I got some more photos of him way up on a skyscraper. Them are the dudes that climbed up and on a piece of steel or whatever, building buildings or whatever. So I just found out today about him. I had no idea at all. Completely shocked. Very sad. Very sad. The way he left. Uh, Great dude. Great uncle. Now, like I said, I didn't see him. I don't know, 20, 30 years. Whenever last time I was in Chicago, probably 20 some years ago. That was the last time I'd seen him. Although I was friends with him on Facebook, no, I never heard anything from him. That worried me because I'd message him but never get an answer back. So I do believe he has a daughter, uh, which I try and find. He passed at a young age, so I'm in my fit. He was 60 some years old. I'm what 59. 58, 57. I forget. Uh, he would have been 5 years older than me. Yeah, yeah. Rest in peace, Uncle Jerry. Now he was pretty cool too. He turned me on to Ronnie James Dio, Zeppelin, all kinds of music, dude. Aerosmith, all kinds. I was just a little dude. I can remember him jamming out to Aerosmith and stuff and Zeppelin and everything. And I'd be like, what's that? And he turned me on to all that music and everything. Uh, yeah, it's just, you know, uh, let me see if I can find a better photo of him. Nah, here's one. There's one on top of that in Chicago. This is a good one. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can find it. I just can't believe it, man. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And no, they all didn't die today. They all didn't die today. All right, here's a better one. I really don't know what happened. I'm really not sure. I know my aunt did definitely pass from a heart attack. All right, well, how do I do this? There he is. On top of Chicago. Now that's on a building he was working on because you could see the scaffolding for the crane over here on the side of the building. Iron Workers, Austin, Chicago, Illinois t-shirt and all kinds of union stickers and now rest in peace to the family. God bless. I think they're probably with the rest of the family. And my father passed today or last night, I think they said. So, very shocking. You know, I've been in a world of just almost like a spell or curse or something. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm crazy because I didn't. I thought he was. No one told me my uncle Jerry passed at all. I was talking to Debbie today, and I said, you know what, maybe all these birds, blue jays, and cardinals and squirrels that have been coming around might be my family. I had no idea that my aunt passed or my uncle. Uh, my uncle Joey's alive. Uncle Jimmy and uh, Jackie still alive. Well, so there you go. Us Kramers worked for a living. Nothing was given to us free. My Uncle Joe's still alive. My Uncle Jimmy's still alive. Uncle Jimmy was a union guy, president for a union for 42 years. I think it was. I think he was telling me. And he served in the military also. Navy, I think it was. That's a real good picture. Yeah, it's a good picture, ain't it? That's a good picture of him. He looked good too. He looked good. Had some weight on him, muscle. Your forearms get big. Let me zoom out on this. Being an iron worker, you're working with steel and everything. Your forearms get pretty big. So I don't know if you can see that. Iron workers, Austin, Chicago, Union One. I think it says Chicago. Oh yeah, Uncle Jerry had the chicks. I remember growing up, all the chicks were real cool with me. Oh yeah, and he dated some hot-looking chicks. And I remember when I was a teenager, hanging out with them and stuff, all the chicks and everything. And I looked good back then when I was a teenager. The chicks were like, "Who's this?" He'd be like, "It's my little nephew." He's cute, Arian. Yeah, he was pretty cool. Well, they say all of us Kramers were pretty good looking at one time. But there he is doing what he did. That's what he did. Iron worker, union, bridges. He built a lot of bridges in Chicago and buildings. And as you can see in the background is Chicago's John Hancock building. Before he died, I talked to him probably about 5 years ago or something, maybe longer than that, on Facebook. I messaged him or something, and we talked for a minute, and that was the last time I talked to him. He's busy. He had a life and everything. I just feel bad because I had no idea. Well, when you get divorced, people, families split apart. You go your separate way or whatever. You become an adult. You have your own life. It's almost like that song that one dude sang. Uh, Man on the Moon or whatever it was. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. Well, that's how families are. You go your separate way, you lose touch, whatever. You always keep it, you always ask people around or whatever how things are going if you can't get in touch with them or whatever. Uh, Excuse me. But there you go. Probably known by a lot of people. Uh, you know, when you're a funny person and you have fun doing stuff and you drink, you hang out, you do things, people like you. Right? I was doing a search on you, Johnny. That's how I found out my dad was gone for 3 years already. You were searching for me and you found someone else under my name. Oh, you mean you were, why are you searching me? Why do people Google search me? If you're looking for me, Debbie, you'll find nothing other than me. There's 57,000 John Kramers in America or something like that. You won't ever find anything about me. You got to have a record to have something like that on Google. You'll just find a whole bunch of stuff. John Kramer married 800 times on the cover of Forbes 20. No, I'm not a psychopath. Idiot, yeah, but not a psychopath. But you probably won't find anything, Debbie. I can't even find myself. Oh, really, Deb? I had no idea. And it popped up me, picture of my face. This might be your father. Idiot with a hat on me, the guitar. Yeah, I'm upset because certain family was like, well, what do what happened? You talk to certain family don't want nothing to do with you. I'm like, well, I don't even talk to them. I met my sister once, and that's it. I don't even talk. I haven't. Which my uncle was shocked. He's like, well, have you met her? I said I met her once, but that's it. She's pretty much talks to my brother, my one brother, and not me. And my uncle was like, I had no idea. I'm like, I don't talk to anybody. Right? I have a disability, and I recently went on disability, and I was on medication for a while. That about killed me. I had a couple operations, and everyone thinks I'm nuts. I'm crazy, so no one talks to me. He started laughing. It's like, what? Yeah, they all think I'm nuts or something crazy. Nobody wants anything to do with me. I'm crazy, this and that. And, you know, typical family, right? I'm the black sheep of the family, whatever. But it was good talking to my uncle. I haven't seen him since I was younger. No joke. Since I was, you know, 18, 19, 20 maybe. It was good seeing him. He's still alive. My Uncle Joe's still alive. He's got a little bit of back problems, Uncle Jim said. Well, he's still kicking. He's still going good. Heartbreaking about my Aunt Janice because she reminded me so much of my grandmother. She looked a lot like my grandmother. And I talked to her on Facebook a couple times. And so, she did remind me of my grandmother. You should keep in better touch now. Yeah, I was asking my uncle. My uncle said it was so bad out there. 5 people died in front of his house or were shot right in front of his house in his yard. When he went outside to cut his grass, he had to carry a weapon. I'm like, oh, come on, uncle. You got to be kidding me. He's like, I ain't joking. It was that bad. He sold everything and moved out of Chicago. He said it was that bad. He used to live by a bunch of police and firemen. He was a union guy for a factory or something like that, and the police all moved, and the firemen all moved out of that town. He said it got overtaken, and literally, uh, he was tired of people getting shot in front of his house and having to carry a weapon around to go outside and cut the yard, just to cut the yard. So I got a couple family members, I believe, and one that's still in Chicago. I got other family members out there, but on my dad's side, cousins and stuff like that. And yeah, that's how bad it is in Chicago. So I don't know what they're talking about on the news that everything is fine out there. Uh, you know, crime's gone down or whatever. It's like I don't think so. And he was right by Midway Airport. He was right by Midway Airport, right down the street from Midway Airport. So he'd, you'd be over at his house and a jet come by. Yeah. But he loved it out there. But he said it got so bad and overtaken that he was tired of people getting shot by his, in his front yard, and he left out of there. All the police moved out of there. They got overtaken. It ain't what it used to be when I lived out there. I'll tell you that. Yeah, that's sad. And he said he had to carry a pistol outside just to cut the grass, just to go out and mow his own yard. Ah, well, he just got fed up with it. Sold everything and moved. Said he was sick of it. I don't blame him one bit. Not one bit. I don't blame a lot of people one bit in that area and everything. I would have never lived by Midway. Right? I don't know why he did. He loved it, but I couldn't. And the only reason is because I wouldn't get no sleep. Not because of the planes going over, because of them living that close. One just drop out of the sky on your house or crash when you live that close to an airport. Nah, I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. No way. Couldn't do it. But thank God he's alive. Thank God. Oh man, 5 of them, six, seven, seven. There was 7 of them, Debbie. 7 or 6 of them on my dad's side, I believe. and they all had the same. All their names started with J. Every single one of them name started with a J. Now there was five. Uh, there was 5 brothers and 2 sisters on my dad's side. Yeah. Let's see. Mm, Yeah, 7 kids my grandmother had. My grandmother Betty, 7 kids, and they all had kids. Oh. Well, he was a good uncle. My Aunt Jan was a good aunt. When I was growing up, I don't know what happened afterwards, after the divorce or whatever from the family, everyone split up. But the times I spent with both sides of my family were good when I was growing up. I was from a family, we always did a Christmas dinner thing together, Thanksgiving, all the holidays together. On both sides, we would go to my dad's side of the family for Thanksgiving, and then we would go to my aunt's for Thanksgiving, or they would split it up. We go to my aunt's one year on my mom's side for Thanksgiving, and then the next year we would go to the other, but they would switch it like with Christmas or whatever. Always Christmas or something, we'd go to both families. They'd have dinners, big dinners or whatever, a regular family thing where you go to both sides of the family on the holidays, which was good if you were a kid because of presents. Yeah, it was pretty good. Thank you. I'm that bee, Mama Bear. Like I said, we always did family stuff, always went camping. Every summer, took off to the woods or to my aunt's cottage in Wisconsin or down south fishing. We always, every summer. Or we go to the hydroplane boat races when I was younger. But every summer, they would pretty much plan either a camp out or a camping trip with fishing or go to stay at another family's house out in the wilderness where they lived, like my aunt. We always did stuff as a family when I was younger. Always normal family. But back then, if you did something bad, you get a whooping. Today, like, like you can't do that. It's against the law, I guess. Who knows? I'm just a typical family, but fun. When it was good, it was good. When it was bad, it was bad. But I can tell you right now, I'm going to remember my family members as having a good time, you know. And I'll tell you what, even though there was a divorce, And my aunt Jan brought that up to me, right? She was telling her friends, he still calls me his aunt, even though they got a divorce 20, 30 years ago. I still call her my aunt. It's family, it's blood. Yeah. I was dumb when I was growing up. I had a disability. A lot of people didn't realize it. But I was a good worker. Well, there you go. And there is Chicago right there, John Hancock Building. Chicago, Chicago. Now, I know that's private. Crane right here. Looks like scaffolding for the crane. Well, Uncle Jerry, you will be missed. God bless you. God bless all the family that have parted. Do want to thank my uncle out there if you're listening for contacting me back. Let me know what the deal was. I had no idea about my Uncle Jerry. Uh, I don't know. Just crazy. And my aunt, I thought she was fine, but they said that she had to have another operation and she passed. But like I said, I don't keep in contact with anybody. No one contacts me. It's almost like someone, I don't know, maybe they do. I don't know. But it's freaky because I've been having a lot of birds around lately. If you watch my channel, you'll see a bunch of squirrels, cardinals, blue jays, birds, and maybe, maybe it was them. And I had no idea they were even gone. So, yeah. Well, I met my sister once, but we don't talk. I never even knew I had a sister till not long ago, whatever, however how long it's been since my brother got married there a couple years back. But yeah, well, I hope they're looking over me now. God bless them. Cardinals are visitors from heaven. Yeah, well, I mean, we've been having a lot of birds here on my channel flying around. Cardinals. We had three cardinals. We got all kinds of blue jays and squirrels. So maybe, a lot of people might be mad at me because I refuse to accept anything other than I had a normal family. Right? I was a normal kid when I was growing up. Well, until my accident. Until my accident when I was young, young teen. But till then, I had a perfect life growing up when I was younger. I had toys. Uh, we always had Christmas. We always celebrated Easter. We celebrated every holiday as a family. and did things. So, you know, to me, they were good people, even if they did bad. You know, they were good people to me. Yeah, you like the big holiday stuff, Deb? Well, man, we used to do it all the time, and it was cool too. Going to different places on Christmas or Thanksgiving, different foods and all kinds of stuff. I used to love staying at my grandmother's too because she lived right across the street from the Sheridan when I was a young teen. So staying over there, I also got to see movies, sit on her balcony on her apartment. She lived on the top floor, and I could see across uh, Harlem, the road, and see the Sheridan Drive-In movie, Crystal Clear. It's huge. But I really couldn't hear exactly what they were saying, but I could see the movie. And that was cool because people you would actually see people at night. It was out there by Bridgeview, Oaklawn area is where the drive-in was. Out there by Duke's drive-in, and you could see people on the balcony of the apartment complexes, sitting on their balcony watching the movie. Like I said, you really couldn't hear too much. You can hear it faintly because of the speakers that you hung in the windows and stuff and driving. But at least you got to see a movie or just watch it. So I've seen some cool movies that I probably shouldn't have seen because I was younger. I've seen them anyways because my grandma lived on the top floor of an apartment complex, and I got to see the screen. God bless her. God bless my mom's side of the family. I lost my grandfather a couple years back out here. He's buried down the street here in town, across from the police station. Uh, my mother's still alive. She's out here. My brothers are out here, so that's good. I still got other family left uh, that are alive on my dad's side, and that's good. And hopefully, we all live a long life. Deb, I think I'm gonna end this video in an hour and then maybe come back with just a regular fire. Yeah, I wanted to pay my respects, although I haven't seen them in a long time, lost contact, whatever it may be. They were still family, and I had good times with them. You so I'm not going to complain. I'm happy with uh, being able to know them. And, you know, spend time with them as family. Most people don't get to spend time at all with their families. They die before they're born. Right, Them. I mean, I think my mother had that happen to her. So, uh, and my grandfather ended up having to raise her from being a child. I'm really kind of wondering about these Cardinals and Blue Jays and everything that have been, and the squirrel that keeps coming and knocking on my window, Debbie. Now, is it coincidence? Because he's just looking for food because I've been feeding him all these years, and they're actually coming up to my window and knocking on it? Or is it a family member who now is a squirrel? I don't know. Or a blue jay. That's weird. A bird flew into my window the other day. Either it was a bird or it was a dang squirrel knocking on the window. Ah! For a peanut. Excuse me. Ah. Well, it really hasn't sunk in yet. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it'll probably hit me here soon. Well, I don't know. Tired. Pretty stressful day. Well, my condolences to my sister and my dad's wife. Because he was married, had another family and everything. So condolence to their family. Condolences to them. And now I gotta find that photo of my father. Ah, found it. Oh, golly, I found it. Oh, here's one of them. This is the dear old dad. Old Pa. Let me see. There's another one in there. All right, let me see if I can show this here real quick. See what I can do here. All right, hold on, Deb. Found a photo of him, dear old dad. And that's his new wife that he was married to. And don't he look a lot like Eric Clapton? Yeah, let's see your dad. That's my dad right there. That's him. He was, a lot of people look at him and not think anything, but he was a genius. He was good with his hands. He was good on motors. He was good with flying things. He played guitar. He did all kinds of stuff. He built furniture. You name it, he could do it. No joke. By himself. He remodeled, or he did the whole basement by himself when we moved into our brand new home that was built out in the outskirts of Chicago. And as a kid, I watched him build the whole basement, put all the paneling up, the drywall, the insulation, do everything. He cut a hole in the wall. We had a 55-gallon fish tank. Nah, he had a bar. He built a bar in the basement. He used to have people over and everything. That's Dad right there. That is my real dad. Or at least that's the man that raised me and called me his son and went to work each morning and came home each night. I hold no grudges against him. I had a great time when he growing up. Yeah, that's my real dad, or the man that raised me for 17, 18 years or whatever. Debbie's saying, so that's not your dad. That's my dad. That's the man that I know as father growing up. The one that just passed. My blood dad. And I do look a lot like him. That is true. But like I said, he was very good at all kinds of stuff. Really, really, he was so good. He was very meticulous and detailed about everything. When he built RC boats and planes, he did it to the T. When he worked on cars, he was great at that. He was so good he could do the interior of a car. He could tear every dashboard. He could tear everything out of the car. Put brand new interior in it. He could paint a car. He could do body work on car. I was shocked. I mean, he could do all kinds of stuff. He can do all kinds of stuff. He even played guitar when I was younger. My family was in the military, and I do believe they were over in England and stuff. So he does look a lot like Eric Clapton. I would tell my friend, my dad plays guitar and kind of looks like Eric Clapton. And I do believe that's, uh, well, that would be my stepmother, I think, that's sitting next to him. So I think her name's Kimberly or something. Never met her in person. Yeah, he's a good man. That's all I can say. Rest in peace, Dad. Hopefully you're looking over me. Hopefully my uncles and my aunt was looking over me. He might have passed. Maybe the pressure of losing my Aunt Jan and my other Uncle Jerry was just too much on him. Maybe they all got along pretty good with 7 kids. Seven, seven siblings of family members. 5 brothers and 2 sisters on my dad's side. So. Well, rest in peace, Dad, Uncle Jerry, Aunt Janny. Love you to death. I wish I would have known. I wish I could have been there at least to pay my respects. So I figured I'd do this, you know, to show my respect. I was proud of my family. People are like, well, you aren't rich or you didn't have it. No, but we did have a family. It was loving, and I was safe when I was growing up. Well, I can't say safe because the neighborhoods we lived into were pretty bad. And even as a kid, our house got broken into as we were home. So that goes to show you can move away from the madness of Chicago City, but and move out to the suburbs. But that don't mean there ain't madness around because our house even got broken into uh, out in West Haven when we lived out there when I was a kid, probably about 10 or 11. So, and we were home in the basement watching TV, lights on and everything. So, yeah, madness will follow you anywhere. Well, not follow, but is everywhere. Even if you think you live out in the outskirts of the city and you're safe, but you're really not because it's just everywhere. Dad, but I don't know if my uncle's going to let me know if there's going to be a funeral, or I think he said something about maybe he thinks he wanted to be cremated. So I don't know if they'll, what the deal is yet. And like I was saying earlier, I haven't seen my father in a long time. And he's got a new family, a family that he had, and they might not want me there. And I would understand that. Although I am the firstborn kid, but he had another life with a different family, and they might not want me to be there. I hadn't even met most of them. I'm the only one I met was my sister, and that was for a couple hours, and that's it. I haven't talked to her since. So, yeah, you know, so I just wanted to pay my respects to him, and and I do believe he was a tortured soul. Yeah, yeah. I believe my father was a tortured soul, and my family, right? Just because of the area we lived in at that time. Yeah. We used to live right where uh, the ghost was by the cemetery when I was younger. I do believe that was out in Bridgeview area or Oak Lawn. It was called Resurrected Mary. Uh, that ghost out there, if you look it up in Chicago, it's always seen by the cemetery. And I used to live by that cemetery with my family, but we moved. We used to live in Summit, Argo area, Oak Lawn area, Bridgeview, right? And then we moved out into this suburb, into a cornfield called Orland Park, Tinley Park, in a subdivision called West Haven. Yeah, no joke. Resurrected Mary or whatever they call her or whatever it was out there in Chicago. That we used to live by that. And there was a woods we used to go out there in Chicago, on the outskirts of Chicago. There was a woods out there with a cemetery in it. We used to go out there, and that was supposed to be haunted and creepy and stuff. So it was always crazy out there, man. And I'm glad my dad lived this long. All glory to him because he was a heavy smoker back in his day. He didn't drink too much, uh, and he suffered with with heart and cancer. And I thank Jesus he lived this long. Amen. Demon houses out there. I don't know. There was a ghost out there that people always seen. They always seen. They would say, "Don't pick up a resurrected Mary or whatever," and it was on a road out there in Chicago, one of the neighborhoods, either Oak Lawn or Cicero. I think I got one of my uncles that's still alive. Uh, is out there in Cicero somewhere. So it's out in that area out there. They called it Resurrected Mary or something. And she's in a white gown. And uh, they said, don't pick her up. You ever see a hitchhiker on the side of the road out there by that cemetery? Don't pick her up because uh, bad things would happen. It would used to be on the news, and it was like an old tale out there. I think that was the name. It could have been someone else. I know there's a little girl that they seen out there too. But I know there was a woman in a white dress or something like that. And people were picking her up at night. And she was walking down the road by that cemetery. And people would pick her up. And then she would just disappear out of the car. People would be like, she just disappeared. Poof, gone. And then they started telling people, don't pick up anybody. It was a ghost or something, some girl or something that was dead. And she was in that cemetery or something like that. But there's a demon house sent it to you. That ghost hunter, Zach Baggins, bro. That resurrection. But there's a demon house I sent it to you. Oh, okay, through Messenger. All right. All right, Dad, I love you. My condolences to a family I don't know, the other side of, I don't know, his wife now or whatever. My sister, half sister, whatever. My condolences. Uh, God bless you, Dad. You're not suffering no more, and I'll see you in heaven when I get there one day. And sorry I didn't know. People don't. I don't know. It's like people don't tell me anything. I'm like the black sheep of the family or something. They just don't tell me anything. Maybe I could have helped. Maybe I don't know. I'm not going to feel guilty because uh, no one tells me anything. So you know, good God, my own father could have came in my chat under a different name, and I wouldn't have even known it. I wouldn't even have known it. Maybe that was what happened, and I didn't know it. I could have been, I could have yelled or timed out my own father and wouldn't have known it. And that's what happens when families split and lose touch, or man, it's sad. I'm not gonna lie, it just hasn't hit me yet. You know? It was sad to hear about my father today, but then when to find out other people passed, uh, you know, a year ago or whatever, and I didn't know about it. Now that hit me pretty hard too. Well, rest in peace, Dad. Love you. Thanks for raising me, getting me this far. Hopefully, I can quit smoking. I did for 3 days, but I about went crazy. But I'm gonna try and do it again here. And thanks for the life I did have and the great memories. And say hello to Grandma and Uncle Jeff and everybody up there, Uncle Jerry and everybody up there, and Grandpa John. and the rest of our family, the Three Stooges and Uncle Nikolai and everybody. God bless you. Debbie, I'll be back with a fire here probably in about 15 minutes or so, maybe 11:30, maybe, or no, wait, I don't know, maybe in about 15 minutes. Thanks for showing up, Miss ATS News. If you're watching, great live this evening. Debbie, thanks for stopping in. Also, thank someone else stopped in too. I'm that the Mama Bear, and thank her for stopping in and giving her condolences. Um, God bless you. And I'll be back here shortly. We'll have a peaceful fire. Who knows what? I don't know. Have a good night, folks. God bless. All glory goes to God. Amen.